So one of the things that, well, this could be a cane, this could be whatever weapon it is, right? But one of the things that a lot of wheelchair users think is that because I have longer range, right, everything is good, right?
Yep.
Now, this is all predicated on the fact that this is a deterrent. Back off, right?
Good.
You
Yeah.
didn't move
I'm
back.
definitely going to want to back
All
up.
right, okay. But if you don't, here's the thing. If you move back, it's all great, right? But what if you don't? If you come in, I only got one shot, and this is no good, right? And if you come in with your arm raised, and, you know, like you here, and I'm like, that's all I have. This is no longer any good. We're back to the ground. My stick is gone, right?
And now they may have that stick,
and they, well, exactly. So if you knock me over, and you have the stick, right? And stick is no. So having a stick really is predicated on me being able to move as well as you. Because if you can move around, right? And I can't. Oh shit! I just opened it. Oh, that's bad, right? Like, all that's bad, right? But if I can move as much as you, like a stick fighter, then I'm not going to give you that opening, right? But you're actually more maneuverable than me. You know. So that's a huge problem. So we have a problem of this person being more maneuverable than me. And also, if you go hard, I'm going to get one strike in, and that's it. Now, so for me, you know, I'm going to go probably try to take this knee out, and then I'm going to come back here. Because if I hit you here, and you come in, I'm coming in with this. I'm doing this right there. So my one shot is not going to be like a headshot to knock him out. It's going to be 1, 2, and then this is coming in when you come in. And then we're back to the scenario that we had before. But I'm hoping at this point I just jam this into your face.
And that's what I say, guys. A lot of it is dot the I's. If it's close, cross the T's.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah. So I'm all about taking the face. And I actually had an incident in New York City a few weeks ago. This was like an older guy who we're in a bar. I think he bumped me. He thinks, you know, I bumped him. Whatever. It's like a crowded restaurant, right? Like a nice restaurant. This is like an older guy. And he just went off on me. I'm like, whoa. And he was wearing glasses, right? So I'm thinking, when you touch me, I'm going to grab your glasses off your face, because they're like right here, and then I'm going to take them and smash them through your face, you know? And like, you have no idea what's going to happen to you. But until that happens, nothing's going to happen. And you don't even know what's going through my head.
An important thing that he's stating, if you don't know really any self-defense, one of the easiest and like the simplest thing to understand is that any rake, any thumb, any poke to the eye changes the mindset immediately. So as a basic self-defense, the eye is probably the quickest, easiest thing if you can get to it. And if you're using sort of thumbs and stuff, it's much easier to get the eye than these eye gouge type stuff. But what he's saying, the eye is a great target.
Exactly. So in this case, I'm going to use his glasses against him, because if you know, and I'm just going to grind them into his face. So my point is, again, did it happen? No. Did it happen in my head? Absolutely. Like, I'm thinking about all this shit that's going to happen. So if it does happen, I have a plan. Now, does it say it's going to happen like that? Not necessarily, but it doesn't matter. You know, in this case, it wasn't a big deal. The manager came over, hustled the guy out of there. It was fine. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, you got to think about this. So I was thinking about like what's behind me. If he comes in, I fall over. I don't want to hit like an object. Like I want to know, because I know that I'm going over, because my chair is unstable. I'm not going to engage into a control thing. I'm not going to try to do a finger lock, you know, which is very nice. Like we do a finger lock, boom, boom. But that's a control move. I'm not thinking control. This is, like I said, if they touch, it's the nuclear option. It's going to be ugly. Let's avoid this at all possible. And let's convince this person that, oh, I mean, look what's going on right now in Ukraine. It's the same thing, right? Why are we not really helping out them? Because we're afraid of the nukes, right? We're afraid that Putin is, so that's his deterrent. That's the nuclear option, right? So that makes him strong. Just the fact that it's the mutual assured destruction. It backs us off. On the other hand, we see that the Ukrainians are like, we got no choice. Our back is against the wall, so we're fighting hard.
Okay.
right?
Yep.
The evaders are like, oh shit, these guys are really fighting to the death. So I'm saying, as a person who's being attacked, our back is against the wall,
Yeah.
right? Like, you don't have to attack me, you can just go,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like, you always can go.
Yeah.
I got no
Around
place to
corner,
go,
you
right?
get cornered and.
Exactly.
no option.
So my motivation is really high. Your motivation is only as high as you want to get to me.
Okay.
And my goal is to convince you that you don't really want to.
Right.
And that is why I'm saying also, with the over-enforcement, it's not about me making you mad. It's about you recognizing that breaking my rule, violating me, is going to have consequences.
Right.
Whatever those consequences might be. Now, in terms of boundary setting, it may be the law, right?
Yep.
Like, you may knock me over and steal my money or whatever it is, but hopefully I'm going to mark you.
Mhm.
Say, yeah, you know that guy, he's got like this really jagged marks across his face?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one who did it, right? So in that case, I'm depending on other parties to help me out.
Sure.
You know, which I think is really important, particularly
Very.
the greater your disability, the more you need to depend upon that. But again, my goal, their goal, anyone's goal is to inform you there will be consequences.
Sure.
Somebody is
You
going
may
to
lose, but you're
enforce
going
it.
to get hurt.
Yeah, or someone's going to get you.
Yeah.
Like, the law's going to get you,
Sure.
your employer's going to get you, the internet's going to get you, someone will get you,
I like that.
right? Like, all of those things. So it's not just about me physically vanquishing you, knocking you out, and me being like, hey, you know,
Right.
it's not that easy. So, but that, in a nutshell, is boundary setting, and also incorporating the physical defense aspect of it.
Nice.
You know. So
Yeah.
again, respect, communication, enforcement, the progressive fence, visual fence, verbal fence, physical fence,
Right.
moving up, and also knowing that we can bring it down.
Right.
Right? Like, I can go really high, be like, whoa, dude, sorry, man, I totally misinterpreted what you were saying. Sorry, I got really excited. It's cool, right? Is it cool?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, it's cool.
Perfect.
All right, so you can bring it down, or you can bring it up, you know?
Okay.
As long as I'm in control of myself.
Sure.
When I lose control of myself, I lose control of the situation, you know? And then, so that's the point. I need to have the ability to bring it up, bring it down, and see how you respond.
And it's like if you get in a shooter situation or something like this, what he's talking about is you've got a bunch of small little problems to deal with rather than one giant thing that's happening. And I like that whole leveling up or leveling down, as
Right,
you're saying.
and we don't know.
Yeah.
And you can start low and bring it up.
Right.
But that doesn't mean if you immediately, like you said, the scenario where I'm not paying attention and you touch me, I'm not going to body language, don't touch me. We're going right to physical because I already have I have bad intention and the trigger to act, which happened all at the same time.
Right.
Because nobody without bad intention grabs you when you're not hurt, well, except for your buddies.
They're grabbing like this.
Except for
Not-
your,
maybe
except
not-
for your
maybe
buddies.
not just like
no,
this.
but what I'm saying, right, but if you're taking me down, like your buddies
Right.
might do that, but then they deserve to get whatever they get.
Right.
But what I'm saying, a stranger doing that is your bad intention. That
Yeah.
is your confirmation. That is your trigger to act. Like all of that stuff.
Sure.
We're going straight to physical, you know? And we're adding verbal along the way, you know,
Nice.
as we do that.
Yep.
And presumably our body language gets fit in there too because, you know, anybody's looking like, oh, that guy's gonna rip that guy's face off. You know, so that's the idea. It doesn't have to happen this way, but this is a general model that we go off of so, you know, you can have an understanding.
Very nice. And so you go around and do speeches with this?
So I do different
Or do programs?
different presentations depending on the group,
Okay.
right? And who they are. And again, with a lot of people, what happens is, you know, like in teaching self-defense, everybody wants physical once, right?
Right.
Like that they
Right.
think that they want physical.
Yeah.
Problem is, any particular technique you teach someone, they're going to forget. You know,
Sure.
like, and particularly under stress. So you learn something in a non-stressful, you know, fun environment. As soon as stress comes out, it goes out the window.
Goes out the window,
right?
sure.
Like, you know, it's not, so to me, the physical has to be, has to match your emotional state, right? So if I'm gonna go physical, I need to heighten my emotional
Good.
state. And I do that through my verbal.
Nice.
I bring it up, you know? And again, I don't lose control. I try not to lose control, but I'm bringing up, so my verbal is really driving my physical.
Okay.
And I think that's super important.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, you'll see, you've probably seen this in class, right? With your classes. People will practice physical, but they can't do verbal.
That's big, that's big.
Right?
A lot of people can't get that voice, can't project.
Right,
can't get it
exactly.
out.
So as a practical matter, if I can't go verbal with you, I'm like, can I really go physical? I mean,
Right.
come on, right?
True.
You can't do verbal. If you can't, I guess my point is, if you can't set a boundary with like a waiter, you know, or whoever it might be,
Right.
then you're not going to set a boundary with somebody who's really attacking you.
Yeah.
You know, so another quick story. Yesterday, I get on the bus. Bus is all by myself. The driver comes over. He's got the hook, right? He wants to
Yeah,
strap me down.
strap you.
I'm not going to be strapped down in my chair. It's too unstable, and I lose my point of balance. I don't even have brakes on. I'm not getting strapped down. So I said, I'm not going to get strapped down. And he said, yes, you are.
So-
And I was like, whoa. I just told you I'm not going to be strapped down, and your response to me is, yes, you are?
Yeah.
What am I, 8-year-old kid? You know? So that shot some adrenaline to me, and I said, well, in that case, I'm just going to transfer and sit down. You know? And my point is, again, like these are all the little things that just kind of happens in life, right?
And that could have easily have elevated right there.
It could have elevated, right? You know,
And
I
that
could
would have
have.
been elevating from your side.
It would have been
towards
elevated
them.
from mine, right? Because I would have said, yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I'd be like, don't talk to me like that, asshole.
Right.
And
Now
then
we're
we're
going
going.
to this. Yep.
You know. So I think it's important because the other thing is that guy thinks he's setting a boundary with me, right? My rules are everybody in a wheelchair gets strapped down.
Yeah.
Oh, he said no. I'm going to tell him what he has to do.
Right.
To me, that's over enforcement. I would have liked to said, look, sir, our regulations say that someone in a chair needs to be strapped down. And I would have said, okay, thanks, but I'm gonna just go sit down. Super polite.
Nice.
Oh, yes, you are, is not polite.
Right.
So that creates a backlash within me.
And that's kind of scary, especially if you're a little kid and you have a chair like this that you're saying is very
Right.
mobile.
Right,
And
exactly.
they just go to start locking you down.
Right, because they're assuming it's a big hospital chair that's stable, and all that stuff. And I guess the point is they're making lots of assumptions.
Right.
But my point is this kind of thing happens to wheelchair users a lot.
Right.
Like we're constantly encroached upon. This happens to females a lot, particularly wheelchair users, that get approached by all sorts of guys that wouldn't approach an AB woman in the same way.
Sure.
They do it because you're in a chair, you're an easy target, you're down lower, you're considered more approachable,
Right.
right?
Yep.
People are less worried about rejection. If they get a rejection, they're like more likely to get pissed off because they're like, well, how dare you reject me? I came over to see you because you're just whatever, and now you reject me. That creates a backlash.
Right.
So again, this is this fine line. And a lot of people's solution to that is to always be low, right?
Right.
Well, always being low means you don't create a backlash, but it means that a lot of people violate your boundaries,
Absolutely.
you know? So it's really, to me, it's an art. Like you gotta find that happy medium. Nobody knows what it is. Every situation is different. It's up to you, but you're moving back and forth between it.
Right. And then you've also built up to know that the decisions you've made at that time has already been like, you've gone through all of this type of thing. So if you have to talk about this in a court situation, if you have to deal with anyone else, whatever it happens to be, you've already learned how to raise
Right,
these
well,
levels.
that's a great example.
Yes.
I can explain why I did that.
Right.
You know, and I think that's a really good point. So when you go in court and they say, you know, Eric, why does this guy not have a nose anymore? I'm like, well, because he did X, Y, Z. He broke my boundary. I warned him multiple times. He came and he grabbed me. Okay. So in order for me to get away from him, you know, and to stop him, I just had to bite his nose off. It
Right.
just happened.
Yeah.
Wasn't my intention, but that's just what happened, you know? And so, yes, I mean, I think this is a great point that you're making about, one, is you're legally backing up what you did.
Right.
You have a reason for it. This is why, you know, it was enforcement. And also, I have conviction. Because if I've done everything that I can do to avoid this confrontation and to back you off and to get out of here, then I have no choice, right? You back me up against the wall.
Yep.
I literally have no out. And again, like we said, you have all the outs in the world.
Sure.
Because you can just walk away, you know? So I think that's a really good point, and that's really important, you know?
That's really good. All right, so as far as, we may not even have to get into this, but what I liked what he did is using sort of gross body control when he gets here. If I had to
Right,
get here.
so however you are, I want to get up high. Because
Right.
right now, I'm still too low, you're
Bring
still
me
too
down.
high,
Right.
right? I want you in closer, however
Right.
I can get you. And if that means climbing up the tree,
Good.
fine. If
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm gonna hit you a little bit, I might as well be here.
Right.
Right? Like, why not? Pow,
Right.
you know? And okay, if I can't really get him in tight, I might as well hold on to this, right? On the way down.
Good.
You know? And that's the thing. And maybe on the way down, it switches under here. We don't know.
Very nice.
Right? And then this is going to happen. This stuff
Right.
is going to get
Good.
ripped up. You know? But
Good.
I'm not pretending that it's going to happen while I'm sitting in my chair. Because if I want to stay in my chair, then I can't do that.
Sure.
Because if you come in here, right? And you push and you push forward, and I'm like, oh no, I got to get my balance.
Right.
Right? Well, what just happened?
You
I
just lost
I
control
just-
of the
I-
whole situation.
I just
And
let
I've
go.
just gotten it back.
Right, exactly. So,
And when he did that and he let
Yeah.
go, I didn't have to go
right,
down. I could
yeah,
just,
that took nothing. Right,
throw it like
right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
So if in my mind I think that I need to stay in my chair, I will give you up to try to stay in my chair, which is a losing battle.
Like
I had a great surprise on you. I gave it up,
Right.
and now I'm screwed.
sure.
If I've decided going over is not so bad, when it happens, I'm okay with it.
Right.
You know?
And do you practice going backwards?
Yes.
Falling up? I've
Yeah.
seen in your videos you've
Yeah,
done it.
so I fall out of my chair a lot. I'm not worried about it.
Right.
You know, I will not hit my head because I will tuck it.
Tuck.
You know,
Shoulder roll
and
out.
and again, like I said, I'm also counting on the fact that when I go over, you're falling over something that feels not comfortable to you.
Right.
So your natural reaction is you don't want to fall.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. So when I gave up my position to not fall, I want you to give up your position because you're worried about falling
Exactly.
on this awkward,
Yeah,
bumpy,
getting caught up under
awkward, bumpy object,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So that I think is really important, you know. So, but that means mentally, I must be fine with falling.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to stop falling because I know it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, great, but I'm not going to give up my position.
I think that's one of the big lessons that I've not really thought about when talking to you guys with the chairs, because we have all different kinds of chairs. We have the ones with the kickstands in the
Right.
back, and then automated chairs. And you're right, like being able to understand if you can fall out of a chair.
Right.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is, the more, generally speaking, athletic you are, the more unstable your chair is.
Right.
The less athletic you are, or active, the more stable your chair is. So a stable chair, yeah, it might not flip over, but you can't move it. And likely, because you have such a stable chair, you're not really that maneuverable or physical anyway.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you got a situation really where the most active people are likely to get knocked over
Right.
because they have unstable chairs. The ones who have the more physical disability might not get knocked over, but they're really not going to be able to pull off the physical.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So they really better use their voice.
Yeah.
You know? So that's kind of how I look at it, which
Love it.
to me, most people have a voice. They really need to use it.
Nice.
And learning that is so much more important than, you know, the physical stuff. Because physical that doesn't work just makes you feel more powerful,
Sure.
right? I
And
hit
like-
you. Go ahead.
No, it's like I say, you mentioned it before, you can practice, you can do the katas, you can work partner stuff. You just put somebody in a ring that hasn't been in a ring before, the breathing changes, everything about they lose all the control of what they had learned in the fighting at first. So if you're gonna do it, you've gotta train a lot in order to get to a certain place.
Right, I totally agree with that, and I'm gonna also say you have to incorporate that with the verbal, the boundary setting, so
Yes.
it all kind of fits together.
Yeah, that's great.
And if you're not doing that and you're just used to practicing stuff when, you know, like walk together, okay, let's go, right? Like, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
boom, 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 and you're right, like we're being cooperative.
Sure.
Right? Like, so we develop our skills in a cooperative environment.
Right.
You know, and then it's like, I can do that as long as you cooperate with me, but what happens when
And you have to pressure test it.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so if you're not pressure testing it with, and what happens is in a lot of classes with people in chairs is that you never pressure me because you don't want to like knock me over or hurt me,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So if you don't pressure me, we never get really close.
Right.
You'll like stay in here and like do this kind of stuff, but you don't pressure me. So then I never get knocked out of my chair because you never gave me really forward pressure.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And we know that forward pressure is super important.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't give it to me, then I have this belief that this kind of physical interaction happens like, you know, here,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Yeah, these
Like
type
you're
of
not
things.
really pushing me.
That's right.
You know, we're playing
I'm
around.
not coming in
I'm
and
doing
trying to
this
get
out,
the cheese
you know,
out.
right, exactly. You know.
Good.
So this is all great. Like
Right.
these moves are fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And but notice that I have one hand where.
On control of the
Which
chair.
is totally committed to maintaining my balance.
Sure.
I lost it. I'm playing 1 against 4.
Right.
That's kind of bad odds,
Yeah.
right? Like that's really bad.
Yeah.
You know? And the more you go back there, it's even worse. So if you think about that, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's bad. Now, when we get back to here, if we're in here, we're kind of 2 on 1, 2. But your 4, you're not really kicking, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when we go over, we're getting more similar.
Sure.
You follow?
Yep. Absolutely.
You can bite, I can bite.
Yep.
You can eye gouge, I can eye gouge, right?
Close
You're not really gonna get that much action for right now out of your lower body. So we're getting closer. Again, now we went back to, oh shit,
Right.
you got all this advantage. I just lost it all. Because I got one hand down, I'm down to 1 against 4. Really bad. So this 1 to 4 is bad for physical, it's okay for verbal. Because it gets the message, right? So that's really important.
That's good. And like understand as well, like this person's physical stuff. If he's getting tight in the fists, he's doing these type of things, somebody steps back, you already know that there's something that's likely coming on, and it's time for you to make that choice to get out. Or,
Right, yeah. So I call that pre-assault cues.
Sure.
Right? However, like, so mention some pre-assault cues. Those are great. Just
So things like them tensing,
Yeah.
them,
the fist.
the fist going
Right.
back, the step
Right.
back right here.
Yeah, bleeding.
You know, blading,
Yeah.
this type of stuff.
You're antsy.
Moving to a position where
Yeah.
they can hit you,
Right.
you know,
Right,
those type
exactly.
of stuff, or cornering you off if they're going to try to do
Right,
things.
right. So that's great. You're blading, you're preparing, right?
Sure.
You're psyching yourself up, you're shooting your own self with adrenaline.
Right.
Right? Like all of that stuff.
And the
You
eyes
know?
are a big tell as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this is all part of the whole confirmation of bad intention without the trigger.
Sure.
Because again, I don't want to go preemptively physical because it's going to be really messy.
Right.
You know, so if we can avoid this at any, not avoid it at any cost, but avoid it as much as we can.
Right.
That's what we're going to try to do. You know.
Yeah, I like that. That's the difference between self-defense and mutual combat. You
Right.
didn't decide to come in and start a fight with me. We didn't get mouthy back and forth, and all of a sudden we're tough guys on the street
Right.
arguing over a girl type of thing. you
Right,
know?
exactly.
You've done everything possible to get out of the situation until you made the choice that this is time to explode.
Right, and say that again, this doesn't mean you never get into a conflict
Right,
with someone.
yeah.
And you're always worried. For instance, today, I'm getting in my car, And the guy next to me is sitting in his car in an accessible spot on his phone. You know, he's able-bodied. And it's the last accessible spot.
Right.
And like, okay, I could avoid this confrontation, but do I really want to do that because I'm so afraid? I'm like, no. So I just knocked on the door, knocked on the window and said, hey, guy, I said, hey, you know, this is the last accessible space. There aren't anymore.
Good.
And he's like, of course, this is what everyone says. Like, oh, really? I didn't know. I'm like, okay, you didn't know. He's going to move, okay? Did he know? Absolutely. But whatever.
Right.
You know, my point is, I'm not saying live your life without any, because that to me is boundary setting, right?
Yep.
You violated it, here's the rules. You know, I didn't scream at him,
Right.
you know, because that's over enforcement. I just said, hey, you're taking the last accessible space.
Nice.
You know? If he doesn't go, there's not much I can do about it, right?
Right.
You know? Maybe I'll take a picture of his license plates and make him worry. Maybe I won't. It depends. But it also depends on how I read the situation.
Yeah. And I like that concept of just, you know, you could back out, take a picture of the license plate, and let people know in the area.
Right.
That-
I have this app too, and I took a picture of the plate. The guy came out. He's like an Uber Eats guy,
Right.
and he's like, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "I'm doing that because people violate the spaces all the time, and people need to know."
Sure.
You know? And my philosophy with this is, it's not personal, it's just business, right? Like, you violated the rules, I'm just sending it to the app. It's
Nice.
business, that's
Yeah.
all it is. I'm not gonna get involved in a personal situation, it's just business. And that kind of doesn't give that person much to grab onto.
Sure.
You're just like, yeah, just business, just taking your picture, just sending it, that's what I just do. Okay, bye.
Awesome.
You know? And this guy, did anything happen? No, but he doesn't know that. And he's like, oh damn, someone took a picture of me in a handicapped space, and now I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
You may
did-
be up in the he may be up on the internet.
He doesn't know.
If he's working for Uber, it
He
could go
doesn't
back to
know.
Uber. That he doesn't know.
Right, he doesn't know, and that's all I wanna do.
Sure.
Because then maybe next time he'll be like,
More
maybe
aware.
not.
Yeah.
It's
Awesome.
enforcement.
Very
Low-level enforcement, don't create a backlash.
Very cool.
But I don't have to leave always being like, oh, again, someone violates a space and I do nothing.
Sure.
Then I leave feeling bad. So I think another big part of boundary setting is recognizing that it's okay to enforce your boundaries.
Love it. I
You
like
know?
that.
And the more comfortable you are with enforcement, the more you're able to do it, and the more you're able to do it in a effective manner that's not emotional,
Awesome.
just business.
Yeah, I think this is excellent information for anybody in any self-defense situation. So thanks a lot, man.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
Really,
it.
really
That
cool.
was great.
Awesome. Thank you.